Yo, what's up, friends? Welcome back to the local podcast. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Greensburg Video. That's my video and photography company located right here on Main Street in Greensburg. If you and your company are up for some fresh ideas and some engaging content, look no further than Greensburg Video. You can check out my work at gbgvideo.net or greensburgvideo.com. My portfolio is growing daily, so you can check that out. Shoot me a message, and we'll figure out a strategy for you. Speaking of advertising, you can do that for your business right here on the local podcast. If you're interested in that, hit me up at thelocal724.com. All right, today on the show, we have Tommy Costa. He's the owner of High Ground Jiu-Jitsu. It's a really good one. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's go. Welcome to the Local 724 podcast in 3, 2, 1. All right, man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Local podcast. I am officially back from vacation. It's always nice to go on a little trip, but today we're back in action here, and we have Tom Costa in the studio. You like Tom or Tommy?
Tommy.
All right, Tommy it is. Tommy is a Murraysville native, and you own the jiu-jitsu studio, High Ground.
High Ground Jiu-Jitsu, correct.
All right, man. Talk to me about that.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you bringing me in. I'm excited to talk about what we do and what we've done.
Yeah, you got a nice beard, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm a beard guy.
Yeah, work hard at it. So, not really, but it kind of comes naturally.
It's one of those things, man. You really do have to kind of care for these things.
Yeah.
And
they'll start to itch. They'll get crazy on you. You get stuff flying. My beard grows in all different directions too.
So does mine.
One side grows straight down. The other side goes straight this way. The bottom grows forward. So it takes a little bit of work.
Nice.
You got to know I'm like a groundskeeper at a golf course or something like that. You got to know the nap of the earth. Way it goes. But yeah, so, High Ground Jiu-Jitsu, we have 2 studios, or academies or whatever you want to call them, gyms. Mm-hmm. I kind of use those terms interchangeably depending on the conversation I'm having,
right?
Whoever I'm having it with. But we have one in Monroeville in the Plum area. It's pretty much like right in Murraysville. And then we've been in Delmont for 11 years, and we just recently moved to what was what's known in Greensburg as Juicy Lucy's, or the Roadhouse was its most recent name. We just bought that building and we are in there now. It's our own dedicated space. So we just had a grand opening last Saturday, and it was awesome, and picking up new members and off and running. So
dude, that's awesome.
Pretty excited.
It's a pretty sweet location. I mean, the building's big. You've got that big ass patio on the back. Mm-hmm. You guys can do whatever it is that you do on the outside. But I mean, when did you guys get that, the location in Plum?
It was about 2 years ago. I'm actually wearing my, Team Bruno wrestling, attire today, but I'm on the board of directors for a nonprofit. It's a wrestling camp. They give out scholarships to high school wrestlers. And one of the other guys, his name's Shane Valco, is on the board of directors with me, and he was opening up like youth athletic training center. He's a national champ, All-American wrestler at UPJ, and he was putting in a mat room. He was like, "Hey man, if you want to come and start up a program and sublease the space, we'd love to have you." And next thing you know, we're there almost 2 years now, and things are going really well. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So how did you get into jiu-jitsu? Tell me about the beginnings of that.
Well, I was sort of in martial arts as a kid. My brother did Taekwondo. My parents had me stick around and do it with him so that he wouldn't quit. Mm-hmm. So that was actually most of my martial arts experience as a kid. My dad was a Golden Gloves boxer, and my uncle was big into martial arts as well. So they would always just kind of hold pads for us or make us hit the bag and stuff as a kid. It just kind of was some part of my childhood. It was never anything that I actually put a ton of energy into, but it was just something I was always around. But come freshman year of college, I quit playing hockey. I didn't have anything going on. I had hair down past my shoulders. I was sitting out front of the dorms at IUP, and I was smoking a cigarette in the smokers section. And this kid comes down. He's like, "Hey, everyone," just addressing the whole group of kids sitting there. IUP has a martial arts club. I'm going to the club meeting. I'm one of the officers. If anyone wants to come, you're more than welcome. If you've never done martial arts or tried before, just come out. And I was like, I had nothing going on. I had a pair of basketball shorts upstairs. So I was like, hell yeah, put out my cigarette. And at that time, I was probably the least healthy I'd ever been. You know, I gained a bunch of weight from not exercising or playing sports, and I was on my own for the first time. So I'm just like drinking beer, eating in the dining hall as much as I could. And I was like, screw it. We'll go up, see what it's all about. So first day, there was a couple of kids in there that had some experience with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So they were running the practice, and we learned, you know, a shoulder lock submission and got to wrestle around with each other. And I was hooked. I chipped a tooth.
First day.
Yeah, first day. I chipped my tooth. I can still feel it with my tongue. Every day is a reminder. Beautiful teeth. And my parents, you know, got me braces when I was in grade school, and chipped a tooth. I had big bruises on my arm, hand-shaped bruises on my arms, which anyone who starts jiu-jitsu, everyone has the same experience. You come home one day and you get ready, get in the shower, and you just are absolutely shocked at the bruises you have on your body. Eventually your body kind of gets used to it, but I was like absolutely hooked. Eventually my academic endeavors took me to Temple University in Philly, where my dad jokes that I actually went to school for jiu-jitsu, because I went to school for communications, was a film degree, and that was what I was really interested in. So it was like actually almost easy for me, just because me and my buddies had nicer gear than the school had. Yeah. We were making videos and doing stuff that was way beyond what our assignments were. So school was like, oh yeah, we got to get this like stupid little thing done. Can we use something we already did for it? Right. You know? And that was the case a lot of times. So that's awesome. Almost all of my energy went towards training Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the gym out there in the city. It was Philly Jiu-Jitsu. And quick shout out to my longtime teacher, Damon. He taught me pretty much everything I know up until I moved away and then started having to learn on my own. But and that was pretty much it. I was like totally hooked that first day. It was like literally the first week of freshman year of college, and that was in 2005. So
yeah, dude, that's wild, man. We actually share the video and production, the video production thing. That's what I went to school for.
Oh, cool. Where'd you go?
I went to Edinburgh up in Erie. Really cool. And that was kind of like the same deal. I remember we would get like our disbursement for our like loans and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And the first thing I did was I went out and bought a camera, and I went out and bought all my own gear because I didn't want to share my shit with all the fucking people in the program. Yeah. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to buy my own stuff. And so that's what it was. I mean, like me and my friends were up there. We were like shooting music videos and having fun doing all kinds of things. But it's just it's fun, man. In college, I think is like a really, really great time to kind of figure out who you are. And you know, for you to just be like open to fuck yeah, I'll go. Why not? Check it out. And this turned into something that like you're fucking in love with, obviously. So, I mean, it's, you know, kudos to being in college and just like figuring out like, you know, there's other shit in the world to do.
Yeah. And I owe that, like that moment, that intersectional moment where I was like halfway done smoking a cigarette. Mm-hmm. I could have just like stayed there and hung out with the gang for the rest of the day. But that's like, this is my livelihood now. Yeah. That was like a moment in my life where it was either, you know, keep going. My life could be totally different. Oh, yeah. If I hadn't just made that like impulsive decision to just try something different.
Yeah. So it's awesome. Yeah. It's really neat just to like look back and think about like those specific times when, you know, the difference was made. And, you know, back in college, you had, like you were saying, you're partying, you're smoking, you're eating shitty food and stuff and doing all that. And I mean, you had a choice to make, obviously, you know. It
kept me out of a lot of trouble in school too. Like, you know, I would have a tournament or practice in the morning, and most of the guys at the gym were older than me. They were guys that had jobs and families already. And so they were a good influence on me, even if they weren't like maybe the best people themselves. They were more mature than me, and they were like, "Hey man, don't miss practice tomorrow. Hey, we have a tournament next weekend. So let's train. Make sure you're here on Friday night. Make sure you're here Saturday morning. Make sure you're here Sunday morning." So it was like, I can have fun, but I can't, have too much fun where I take myself out of the game for the next day. And I even remember having like fights with my roommates at that time where I'm like, guys, I got a tournament tomorrow. If you can take the party somewhere else, please do.
Yeah.
And 1 a.m, they show up causing a ruckus, and I'm like still awake because I'm nervous for the tournament. Right. And now I can hear them in the other room all screaming and yelling and carrying on. And I'd come out in my boxer shorts, and I'm just like, everybody get the fuck out of here. Yeah. And they're like, dude, you freaked out last night. I was like, yeah, because I guess somebody's going to try to choke me tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. But they have to wake up and nurse a hangover.
Yeah.
That's, and you're going to get fucking choked by some guy. I mean, living with roommates and stuff like in the college era, man, that was wild. It was just like, I was always involved in those parties. I was the bad influence.
I like to think I was a good roommate, but if you ask my roommates, they were probably like, bro, you were the worst, man. You never cleaned your dishes. You didn't take out the trash.
Dude, same shit.
So,
yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, we fought with everybody. It was the same deal. I remember getting out of college and being like, I'm never having another fucking roommate ever as long as I live. Yeah. And, now it's my wife telling me to pick up my fucking dishes and take the trash out.
Yeah.
So, but as far as like opening up the gym and stuff like that, I mean, like what really pushed you to take it to the next level? Like you're fighting and you're competing and you're learning and all of that stuff. You're going into your tournaments. What is the jump to actually teaching?
Yeah, that's actually kind of a funny story. Also, another happy accident. So I graduated college with a film degree. I started working as a video editor for a marketing firm outside of Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. I wasn't crazy about it. We were doing, Pfizer was one of our big, coincidentally, Pfizer was one of our big clients. Whatever company owns Flonase. I worked on these Flonase commercials with this bee, the bee from Flonase. Yeah. I was like the editor for this whole series of short internet ads.
I remember them.
And yeah, if you saw a Flonase banner on browsing the internet between the years of like 2008 to 2009, there's a good chance I worked on it. But it just wasn't like, it was just soulless, like non-creative work. It was, They were like, literally make these cuts, do exactly this, and let us know when you're done, and it was cool. Like the company I worked for was cool, but I eventually started looking for other employment. So I found a job opportunity in Pittsburgh. It wasn't anything cool, but it was just something I wanted to move back home for.
Yeah.
And I was working there for about a year. And during that time, an ad popped up on Craigslist that was a gym owner was looking for an instructor for like an MMA fitness class. Back in 2009, that circuit high intensity interval training was just getting really popular in the fitness industry. And he was looking for somebody to do that cage fitness. I remember Matt Hughes Cage Fit was a big thing. Yep. It was like a big brand back then. So he was trying to cash in on that.
So, and he was like the first, he was like in the first round of the UFC, like the show, right?
Yeah.
Like the show on TV.
Yeah. He fought Hoist, and he actually was like, he choked Ricardo Almeida out, which was like really big back then because Ricardo Almeida was like supposed to be the next Hoist Gracie. And he ended up getting front head and arm choked standing up against the cage. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he got choked by this farm boy. We used to call it the farm boy choke before we knew how to actually do the move.
Yeah.
So I hit up this guy, Steve. I was like, hey, I fought Muay Thai, done MMA, I do jiu-jitsu. We did all this kind of training for our competitions and the fight team. I wasn't really a big fighter, but actually, like, just to name drop, Paul Felder was on our team when we were in college. He went to Drexel University. He was actually a theater major, and we used to joke because he had like professional headshots and stuff. And we just thought it was like super corny. And now he's on ESPN and has a, hangs out with Joe Rogan every day. So jokes on who, but, so Steve's like, yeah, come on in. We'll pay you as an instructor. I was getting just like measly, like $20-$30 for each class, just teaching, hit the bag for 1 minute, then hit this bag for 1 minute, slam this ball. It was just like really basic. Started to grow, started to progress. People wanted to learn more than just, like what we were showing them, like how to hit the bag effectively. So you're getting a good workout.
Yeah. So
we started doing jiu-jitsu classes. And I remember the first class was in December of 2009. People were laughing at us. We had them on the ground, like, wrapped around each other, and we're showing them the basic moves. And these kids are laughing. They're guys that came in from the fitness center. Mm-hmm. And I looked at my buddy, Chad, who was one of my friends from the IUP club. And we were like, how are we going to do this, dude? These people think this is funny.
Yeah.
We're trying to turn this into a business. Things just kept growing and growing. And we went from being instructors at his fitness center, which was the gym that's up at Center Ice Arena, to renting the back room from him for a couple hours a week. Then we bought the gym off of him. Eventually, my business partner got a job with Chevron, and he moved away for better opportunities. I bought him out. I ran the fitness center and the jiu-jitsu business out of there for 8 years. And then last year I sold it, and it is now Wallace Fitness Center. We had a sublease there for a year, and now we're in our own space. So
nice.
Yeah, things just kept growing slowly, and it kind of just naturally happened where now I'm completely out of the fitness industry, which is kind of a relief for me because it's not really my passion, but now I can dedicate 100% of my time to just teaching people mixed martial arts and jiu-jitsu. So
yeah. That's awesome, man. Like you were saying, back in IUP and stuff, you weren't the most healthy and all of that. When do you think that change for your body really started to take place? Was it when you first started training? Like, were you still smoking cigarettes and training and all of that stuff?
I don't think that change happened for me until I moved back home and started leading a group. Mm-hmm. Whenever we were in college, we just took advantage of the fact that we were young and in shape and could kind of just deal with anything that came our way.
So resilient, right?
Yeah, we were like drinking, 5 nights a week and partying all we wanted to and training hard, just kind of like trying to make up for whatever we did to our bodies by just like training harder, which might have been worse. We don't even know. We'll find out. But once we started leading a group, especially when we started teaching kids, had just sort of like, I don't know, an awakening or a realization that like, hey, we're helping people not just like learn martial arts, but be better people. We have to try to be better people ourselves. Yeah. So started taking better care of myself. I'd say around 2012.
Yeah.
Going on 10 years, almost 9 years.
There you go.
So
yeah, it's wild. I mean, you just, like we said, I mean, you're just so resilient back then. You can kind of do whatever you want. And, hangovers really didn't even exist back then. It was just kind of like, you got the drink. I mean, like in 5 days a week, I mean, like, dude, I was on that schedule for a long time. And it really wasn't until I hit like my 30s when I started feeling like what the hell a hangover is. I was like, man, there's something else to life. Yeah. And that's really when I got serious about my video stuff, my business and things like that. So it's really funny. I mean, we actually have a really similar story. You living out in Philly. I used to live out in Lancaster.
Oh, cool.
So I moved out there for a video job, and I worked at a small studio. It was cool. We were doing all kinds of commercials, big commercials too. It was fun. And it was awesome. I wanted to move back home and, get with my family and stuff. And so I moved back, and I got a job as the video director at American Eagle clothing company.
Oh, sweet.
So it was cool. It was awesome. And, but same deal. It was like soulless work, man. There's no creativity in it. It's just jeans and t-shirts. I mean, like when you get to film like the ladies in bras and underwear and stuff, that was like a good day. And then like you fucking back to jeans and t-shirts.
And then you got to capture all of it.
Right.
So
yeah.
Sit there.
Yeah. And you sit there and then it's like, just it's mindless shit. And it wasn't really what I signed up for, I think. And, so after a while, I just kind of was like, you know what,
I want to do this by myself. So I went off on my own, and dude, it's been pretty awesome since 2017. I've been working for myself, and you know, you've been working for yourself for quite a while at this point. What do you think about, you know, could you ever go back to?
No, I'm unemployable.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like literally unemployable. Unless you want to hire me as somebody to be in charge of something.
Yeah.
I can't go back to, you know, working.
There's no way.
No way.
It's yeah, I feel the same way. My ex-wife's dad, actually, one time, I don't know if this was a compliment or a fucking just a hardcore slam. He was just like, you know, there's people in the world who just can't work for other people, and you're fucking one of them. And I was like, I took that as a compliment. I was like, fuck yeah, man, that's me. It just is what it is. I mean, like, I can't imagine going back to having something where someone's telling you what to do or micromanaging you, you know, making your schedule for you. Mm-hmm. You're the gym owner now. You're the one who's making all these moves, buying this building, you know, and like I said earlier, you have this really nice patio on the back, man. You do whatever the fuck you want with it. It's nobody else's decision but yours.
We have some plans. We're going to start doing more events. Mm-hmm. Maybe even like get some live bands going again there. I used to go see bands there. My buddy's uncles had a band. Yeah. And I remember going there to see bands. And I can't tell you how many people stopped in while we were doing construction to find out what was going in there and how disappointed they were when they found out it wasn't a grill or a bar or a restaurant.
Right.
Now, granted, the people stopping in weren't exactly like our typical customers, you know, they were a lot of old timers that like their routine and but we're going to try to get something going again there, like little events and kids parties. If you want a martial arts party for your kid, hit me up.
Hell yeah. That's awesome, man. So like between those, you know, you were doing what kind of work, I guess, like between 2005, 2009 area? Like, I mean, what was actually paying the bills at that point?
I was in college. So my parents were helping me out, had some student loans, but I was working at a flower shop actually. I don't know how I got hooked up with, I think I found it on the internet. Down in downtown Philly, there was like this big flower shop. It was one of the biggest flower shops in the city. It was in the basement of this skyscraper, like right by City Hall. And they needed help in the STEM room, which was this big room. And it's, you get all the flowers off the truck and you have to slice the stems so they're fresh.
Okay. And
then, put them in buckets with water and plant food. And then by the end of the day, the whole room is completely filled with 5-gallon buckets full of different flowers.
Wow.
And by the next day, all they call them like artists or designers, the people who make all the bouquets.
Yeah.
They got paid the best there. They would churn those. They would freaking make bouquets for every single, like, any place that sold flowers in the Philadelphia area. That's what they did. They cranked out these bouquets all day.
Holy shit.
And the next day you'd come in and the room would be empty. And the truck would come in and it was, and we had these big, like, you know, like how a paper cutter is in school. Yeah. We had these ones that looked like a medieval paper cutter with this gigantic blade. It looked like a sword. And you'd stick these big bunches of flowers in. And the main thing I remember about that job, well, two things. One is you had free flowers. You could make, if you were like trying to date a girl or flirt.
That's great.
Just like leave with a handful of flowers, no questions asked. They thought it was cute. They're like, oh, Tommy's leaving with a handful of flowers. He's nice. Good, sweetheart, But the boogers, man. Being in being in that little room in the basement of a skyscraper and all that pollen, like you would not believe the boogers. It's unreal. It was unreal. It was unreal. That was actually like the main thing is I was like, imagine what's in my lungs right now. Right, if this is what's getting caught in my nose.
Holy shit. Dude, that's nuts, man. I couldn't imagine anyone that had allergies would walk into that room and fucking kill over.
And another funny thing about working there, which people around here might not even be able to wrap their mind around, I had to have a parking permit for my bicycle.
Really?
Yeah.
Philly's a weird area.
There was a bike rack outside of the skyscraper, and a lot of people that worked in that building would ride their bike to school.
Yeah.
So, or not school, to work.
Right.
And there was a security guard that would literally like leave a note on your bike or mark your bike and be like, hey, you need to have a permit. And so I had to go to the building manager or whatever, property manager, and actually get prove that I worked there and acquire this little sticker for my bike. Real. And I just thought it was like the funniest thing.
Dude, they got to make their money somehow.
Yeah.
Right? Unbelievable. So you've got all this training and stuff like that. Have you ever been in like any kind of like law enforcement? Have you ever had to use it?
I've been in, actually, I was just telling the guys the other night, we did our lesson on push kicks, like the front kick, kicking somebody in the stomach.
Right.
In Muay Thai, we call it a teep kick. I've been in 2 fights my entire life, outside of like the gym or some sort of athletic endeavor. And they both I used the push kick. Somebody was coming at me. I felt like they were threatening me, and I just like kicked him in the stomach, pushed him as far away as I could, and pretty much got the hell out of there.
Yeah.
One time I kicked somebody down a couple of stairs, which was lucky, kind of. It was at a party. Like, I don't really remember much of it, but he came at me. He was stupidly standing with his back to some steps, and I just kicked him and pushed him, and he fell down like a five stair or something, and I was able to just run the other way.
Yeah.
And then another time it was like kind of the same thing. Just like kicked the dude, and he maybe got kicked a little too hard and was just like, that's enough.
Yeah.
Talked a little bit of shit from a little further away, and then that was it.
It's interesting.
So
it's interesting. I mean, like, with you and all the training and everything like that, I mean, like, especially with the amount of shit that people talk nonstop, the internet has really, really fucking made people think that they are, more able to say whatever the fuck they want to people.
Yeah.
But it's surprising that you've only actually had to deal with a few encounters.
Yeah, they were both like drunken college party stuff.
I figured, yeah.
But other than that, not really. I mean, I've had a few other chances, but I think
you got to be careful too.
I think sort of whenever you start doing martial arts and training, you like kind of realize that it's not about like winning a fight. It's more about like picking the right one to like actually unload all of your training onto someone, because it can be very bad, you know, like for lack of better terms, we're teaching people how to kill, like it's life and death. Sure. You know, a choke that you hold for a little bit too long could kill someone, if you break someone's arm or shoulder and they work with their hands, you could affect their life forever.
Right. Yeah.
So it's definitely some heavy stuff if you're not careful. So I guess the longer you train, the kind of more you learn, and a couple of injuries will teach you that, you hurt your knee in jiu-jitsu, you got to pretend like you got hurt at work, or you can't go to work and you got to provide for your family. It kind of definitely gives some perspective, and you start to really respect what you do more. And it's not like, the Karate Kid where they like run around and kick each other's ass and stuff with like no ramifications. It's just not that. It's just not like that, especially when you have a big team in a community like Westmoreland County. You just can't have that on your team, right? So we have to keep that culture down where, yes, we're dangerous. Yes, we train all the time. And if something were to happen, you can protect yourself and your family, but you're not going out and looking for it, because, it can be bad on you, but it can also be bad on the whole team, which can have a bad effect on everyone on the team. So
yeah, especially your business.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely,
man. It's wild. I mean, like you hear people, I remember hearing interviews back in the day, like Steven Seagal and stuff like that. And just sitting there saying like, I can't do this. I can't fight. My hands are, lethal weapons and that. But like, I mean, it's legit. I mean, dude, it's incredible to me, I guess, that, maybe your training has also taught you mentally to think about the ramifications of
for sure
doing like that. Like you said, if you break somebody's arm and they just can't use that arm as effectively as they had, you're really fucking with their whole life at that point.
Yeah.
That's really impressive to me that, your thought process would go that far before a fight, because most people, I would think like, if somebody comes up and pushes you and stuff like that, you're thinking about, oh man, I don't want to ruin this whole guy's life. While he's probably thinking he's so like hyped up on adrenaline that the only thing he can see is what the fuck is going on in front of him.
There's like, do you ever see like there's videos of fights on the internet all over the place, and you inevitably see one where somebody is like puffs their chest out and they're like, hit me, motherfucker. Hit me. And sometimes they get what they asked for and they're taking a dirt nap.
Yeah.
You know, hit me, motherfucker. Let's throw hands. Guy throws a haymaker, boom, and just drops him.
Right.
Like, well, you got what you asked for. Now, like, luckily or hopefully your friends are around so they don't like run your pockets or like beat the shit out of you worse while you're unconscious. Yeah, those fight videos they're like probably one of the best sales. Besides Joe Rogan and YouTube fight videos are the two greatest salesmen.
Yeah.
For jiu-jitsu and what we do. Like almost every person that comes in, hey man, why'd you decide to start training? Oh, Joe Rogan said, Jocko Willink, Joe Rogan. Or they're like, man, I don't want like some kid at the mall to come up and like hit me with a skateboard or I don't know.
Right.
Know, like,
yeah. Dude, like the knockout game.
Yeah.
Do you remember that shit?
It was crazy. That was around the time I was in college and we were like, I wish a motherfucker would like, let's go.
I got fucking hit when I was in Lancaster. I was walking, was so my apartment was on like a street and all of Lancaster, just almost like Philly. It's all fucking squares. Mm-hmm. It's a big grid system. So the bar was basically just right down the street from my apartment, but I had to go over a few blocks and, walked through some streets are really nice. And then you got a couple like crap streets and then it turns nice again. Walking through and late night on the way home, probably saw a good opportunity. I was blasted out of my mind, just walking home by myself. And there were like 3 kids coming towards me. Well, 2 of them crossed the street and then the one dude kept walking towards me and he just fucking swung for it. And I kind of already felt like something was going on. So like, I like gripped my keys with like one of my keys between my fingers. And, when he went to swing, I kind of like dodged it, but he still caught me pretty good. And then, they took off. That was all it was. It was just like hit the guy. And that
still
was it.
Your situational awareness, like your spidey sense went off at some point and you were like, something's not right here. What's going on?
Yeah. As soon as I saw the other 2 cross the street and that dude didn't, I was like, man, what the fuck's going on? It was, it was a little weird, but like, I mean, you definitely, you got to be prepared for those types of situations. I got lucky. I don't really have a good fighting bone in my body. I'm not really, anything to, be scared of or anything, but, it's just like, I think, the situational awareness, like you said, was just like, you heard about it in the news, all of that shit. And it was just like, oh man, here we go.
Or you probably thought it would never happen to you.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember. So you asked about what I was doing in college for work. I also worked as it was more like a caseworker or like a juvenile corrections officer. I worked for this company called Northeast Treatment Centers. And basically if kid get in trouble at school for whatever reason, and they wanted to give him a chance to like not have to go straight to a detention home or something like that, they would get put in our program. And what we did was I'd have to go to work, I'd pick up this van and we'd go around to whatever city schools I had kids in at the time. This was in Philly. I had like 8 or 9 kids at a time and we'd pick them up. They'd have to wait and we'd pick them up at the end of school. Most of the kids like went to 2 or 3 schools in the area. And then it was literally, I could do whatever I wanted with them. They called it a program where they gave us options, but like I could take them to the batting cages. I could take them to hit pads in the park. Awesome. I could take them, like I used to take them to IKEA.
Nice. And
just just because we had to waste some time. Sometimes we just go to IKEA and like we'd spend a half hour. They just literally run around.
It takes a half an hour to get through the fucking place.
And then at the end we would get because they give us a food allowance, I'd buy them lunch.
Yeah.
And they were super cool. All the kids were actually really cool. But one of the main things that they got in trouble for was fighting. And 2 of the kids that I had were in trouble for the knockout game.
Really?
Yeah. These 2, they were brothers and they got in trouble for doing that to kids in their school. And, you have to fill out like paperwork and reports about the kids' progress. And you're really on these kids' side. You don't want to see them get sent to like, you want to see them like maybe graduate to like some sort of program that's going to train them for a job, or just let them go back to school. You don't want to see them end up like just being super insubordinate and a pain in your ass and have to, you know, it's like, look, dude, I gotta fill this report out and end up having them get sent to like Delphi Village here in Westmoreland County. It's a big one. We used to send a lot of kids there.
They're one of my main clients. I do all their videos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They were just in my studio yesterday.
One of the guys that's a counselor there now worked in the STEM room in Philadelphia with me.
No shit.
We stayed friends through Facebook and social media throughout the years. And I saw him like check into like Sharky's or something, you know, he was there getting food. And I was like, bro, are you out here? He's like, yeah, I work at Delphi Village now. So we actually like stayed in touch and we hang out sometimes, but
that's awesome, man.
Yeah. I actually had a few kids in my program, a few cases that were literally in there for, the knockout game. So.
Yeah, dude, it's scary shit, man. I mean, like you see it on the internet and, you know, the news and stuff like that. I mean, I was sauced up. So I didn't feel shit till the next day. I literally like went home and was like, yeah, whatever. I fucking threw a pizza in the oven and ate some pizza at like 3 a.m. And I woke up the next day and I just had like a little knot on the back of my head. And I was like, fuck, that hurt. And that was pretty much it. And then, but you know, what was scary was seeing these kids like hit old people.
Yeah.
And then like old people, dude, I mean, like, you know, when you're a younger age or whatever, you know, you're more like flexible and resilient again. But dude, those people would just stiffen up and fucking timber like trees. And
it was almost like when they hit the ground, it was worse than when they got punched initially. That's the scary part sometimes.
Yeah. Especially if they like hit their head on the way down. Yeah. I mean, like, dude, you could kill somebody doing that. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And like those kids probably don't train in the gym, you know?
Right.
We actually joke sometimes where if you get into an altercation in the street and that person does like a move you learned in a jiu-jitsu practice to you, like you should stop the fight and ask them where they train, you know, and then maybe you won't be fighting anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Which actually one of my buddies actually had that happen. He got into a road rage incident, pulled over, got into a fight with this guy, and then immediately realized that they both trained and they actually stopped fighting and talked about it. And, you know, they still fought, but it ended like a lot better than it could have. He was like, where do you train? My buddy Jimmy got this kid in an arm bar on the side of the road and was like, give up now or I'm going to break your arm. And the kid's like, okay. So he gives up, gets up, and he's like, do you train somewhere? He's like, yeah, I do jiu-jitsu. He's like, dude, me too.
That was a great armbar, man.
What the hell are you doing, man? So,
yeah, dude. I mean, like that's the thing that I think I respect the most about like all their stories is just like having the wherewithal to like really kind of like de-escalate situations and think more, you know, ahead of what's just in front of you. Because when you have that adrenaline feeding you and stuff like that, I mean, like the only thing you can think about is where should I hit this dude? And then, you know, you guys are at least calm enough to know like, all right, this shouldn't really be happening, or like, you know, it's impressive. It's awesome. It's very cool. So what, as far as like COVID and stuff like that, what kind of went down with the gym and all of that? How'd you make it through?
Well, luckily we have just a lot of really dedicated people that, you know, realize the health benefits that they're getting from doing martial arts and training, were just worth the risk. So, in March, when things everybody was like really, you know, scared, things really just kind of started hitting. We closed for about a month and a half. And then like nonstop, I was getting guys asking me, hey, can you unlock the gym so we can train? Can we train? And I was like, all right, fine. So by the end of April, we were basically back open, training in small groups, still trying to be safe with what we knew at the time.
Sure.
And then, you know, it was sort of like one of those things where I had a kid on, well, now I have a daughter. She's 4 months old.
Nice. Congrats.
Yeah. This is what I do for a living. Thank you. And I had a choice to make. It's like, am I going to let my business just deteriorate and let somebody else who decided to stay open take my customers, or just let all those people go off and never do jiu-jitsu again?
Yep.
or do I, and find something else to do for a living, which we talked about. I'm borderline unemployable. So I would have to like somehow find it, start a new business so that I can be my own boss again. I'm not very handy. So I can't just go and start like, building houses or putting doors up for people. Cause you wouldn't want me doing that. Look like the old lady that lived in a shoe, that kind of house. And we opened again. Every single new customer that we got since COVID has been rock solid. People are looking for something that's normal. Mm-hmm. My kids program has completely gone like to the moon, just blown up. Like soccer's canceled. They got to wear a mask at soccer, or the gym studio's closed, or the classes aren't the same, or dance isn't the same. Every other sport, especially the school sports, were just completely jammed up, not normal, not fun. Mm-hmm. Parents weren't happy. And so we really have a nice niche now with people who just want something to be normal. So hopefully with things getting back to normal, things stay up, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, time will tell, man. It's just like, getting back to normal. That's it's definitely the goal for everyone. It's so hard to like understand like what different businesses had to go through. Yeah. Like I've had like Virtus on here talking about like how they did it and like how they're cleaning the gym and like the fucking mountain of not toilet paper, but paper towels that they go through in a fucking day. And, it's nuts to hear everybody's stories about
since jiu-jitsu is such a close, like we're breathing and sweating on each other, and you're switching partners doing that every 5 to 6 minutes. So when we opened up, where it was like, look, you're either doing this the same way we used to, or you're not, either don't come or come back and expect it to be just like it was. Mm-hmm. And luckily for us, we've always had the hygiene and not coming in when you're sick thing. It's always been a big part of the culture.
That's perfect.
Even before COVID, if you brought your kid in and they're like dripping snot and coughing and sneezing everywhere, I'll send your ass outside. I'll send your ass back to the parking lot. I've actually had parents be upset with me because, I send their kid back to the car and their kid like jumps in the backseat of mom's car while she's waiting in the parking lot. 10 minutes into class. Well, what the hell are you doing back here? Oh, Sensei Tommy kicked me out of class because I'm sick, but it's happened before. It hasn't happened since, but that was before COVID. It's happened. Yeah. And so, we have always had that culture of like, don't come in if you're sick, even if you're like, cause if you walk onto the mat and you're saying what's up to everybody and you're like clearly sniffly, like who's going to be, are you going to let me like lay on top of you now? Like, hey bro, what's up? Like
exactly. Yeah.
People are going to be like, dude, go away.
That's good, man. Everybody's more hyper aware of that now. And I think that before COVID, you always had that problem. Like, and it was the same with work too.
Yeah.
And that's something that I, and you probably fucking hate about like corporate world. It's just like, dude, there's that feeling where you have to go in, you have to be there. You have to stay till 5. You have to do this. And like, dude, if you're sick, like now, thank God. Now, if you're sick,
you can just stay home and get better.
Look, I'm not coming.
Well, there's that joke flying around the internet about the old Dayquil commercial where it's like the guy wakes up, he's like clearly sick as fuck. Uh-huh. He takes some Dayquil and is able to give a presentation to like a crowded boardroom, in person.
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa, we can't do that anymore.
Yeah, definitely not.
So,
yeah, man.
Dayquil is just like encouraging people to just be sick and stay going to work. So
right on. Awesome, dude. Can you tell me where everyone can find the gym and you if they want to connect?
Absolutely. We are at the former Roadhouse, which also I'm like super proud of. If you're a martial arts fan and a fan of martial arts movies, Roadhouse,
hell yeah,
is a great movie if you haven't seen it. But just that. It's the name, the Roadhouse, is steeped in martial arts heritage, I guess you could say.
Right on.
Even though Patrick Swayze wasn't he's not Bruce Lee, but
I just watched that the other day.
It's a great movie.
It was on TV. It was fucking awesome.
I try to quote that movie as often as I can. Anyway, we are at the former Juicy Lucy / Roadhouse. It is at 2155 US 119. just 4 or 5 minutes north of Velazzi's. If you go up behind that road that runs up behind Velazzi's, keep going straight and then make a left, you'll find us in Greensburg. And then we also have an academy in Monroeville, right behind the Aldi's on 286 in like the Plum, Murraysville area, even though it's still technically Monroeville.
Awesome, man.
I also want to give a quick shout out to a nonprofit that we work with, the Veteran Bushido Brotherhood. One of our guys, Jarek Fry, he owns Straight Ahead Barbershop in Greensburg, right in a couple blocks from here. He founded a nonprofit that we work closely with. They do a big gun bash every year. And they also, what they do is provide training. They pay your cost of training and gear for any veterans who want to start learning martial arts.
Nice.
So we have a few people in the program. He's put a few people in other schools around the country. So he's not just like, funneling money to his gym.
Right. Yeah.
He's doing a really good job. And it's like off and running. He has a great event every year. And I actually would like recommend you bringing him in. I was going to bring him with me, but he's cutting hair right now. So, he would be like a super interesting guest for you to have. He's a local business owner and, he got the Medal of Valor for multiple tours, in the Marines. So he's a super interesting dude. And, I think you might like having him in, but I want to plug his nonprofit cause we do a lot of work with them and, I'm really proud of that work. So want to plug that one. Oh, also Adopt a Cop BJJ. We train police officers. We've got a few guys in Greensburg and a bunch of other surrounding police departments. There's a nonprofit called Adopt a Cop. So if you're a cop and you're listening to this and you're worried about having to pay for your own training, Adopt a Cop will pay us for you to train. So there's no more excuses about, hey, I can't take money out of my own pocket when the state or the county is supposed to be training me to do my job. There's a nonprofit now that will, no questions asked, pay us or reimburse you, however you want to do it, for your training for up to 2 years. So we have a bunch of officers that utilize it and take advantage of it. And every single guy that comes in that works in law enforcement, I just tell them, get with Adopt a Cop right away so you can start getting paid back for your training. So
it's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Awesome, dude.
We're trying to do the right thing. Like somehow when coronavirus happened, we were like thrust into this. It sometimes felt like we were on the wrong side of everything,
Right. Yeah.
with everything that's been going on with defund the police movement and sentiment towards law enforcement. And we've always been big supporters of law enforcement and training. And we know our guys are great cops and they're here learning to be better cops, training to be better. So we support law enforcement. And, one day we woke up and somehow we're on the wrong side of that issue.
Yeah.
And then next thing we know, now we're training and we're not vaccinated and we're not masking and we're on the wrong side of that issue. And it's like, sometimes we feel like the bad guys, but deep down we know we're doing the right thing. So
just keep moving forward, man. And I think that's really cool. The Adopt a Cop program, because say there's guys out there that are working that, get into an altercation and they don't have the knowledge of what it is, let's talk about it real quick. That Derek Chauvin dude. Yeah. He probably had no idea what the fuck he was doing. He was leaning on that guy's neck and fucking, he could have done something else safely, say he,
and as like the whole team of officers that were apprehending one person, they could have definitely done something else to de-escalate the situation, get him into custody, and he'd probably still be alive today. So,
I feel like, training is definitely an awesome thing. And the fact that you guys are, hooked up with that program, dude, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Anybody that wants to, thinks they want to make a difference, anyone can donate to either the Veteran Bushido Brotherhood or there is like a lot of former Marines and veterans that get hiring preference for law enforcement. So there's a lot of overlap with that.
Yeah.
You can just go on and look up the Veteran Bushido Brotherhood or look up Adopt a Cop BJJ, and you can make a donation and you can make a difference by donating some of your money to help a police officer be a better police officer. So instead of just like saying you want cops to be better,
right,
you can actually do something about it now. So
yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Because you need cops, you need that. So if you're gonna, if we're gonna have them, it's a good way to,
Another good point that somebody brought up was like, not every neighborhood is going to defund their police.
Right,
so if one neighborhood thinks it's the best for them, that's fine. They decide to get rid of their police force. What happens when you decide one day that you need it? Is every other community around you going to lend you theirs?
Right. Yeah.
And then what happens when now those police officers are spread too thin? So is it an all or nothing thing? I don't know. We don't know the solution.
Who knows, man?
We just know that I know that I have to do my best to support our guys and the guys that want to be there to be better. So
yeah, man, that's all sticky shit, all fucking weird stuff to talk about. So thank you so much for coming on, dude. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Fucking excellent show, man. I really enjoyed it.
Where was your vacation?
I actually went to North Myrtle Beach. Nice. Pretty fucking nice.
Classic.
It's always quiet.
Gotta love Myrtle.
Right?
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Thanks a lot.
All right. That was an excellent show. And I hope you guys go out there and connect with Tommy and his crew over at High Ground Jiu-Jitsu. That's on your way out to Crabtree. You know where it's at. It's the old Juicy Lucy's. And it's a pretty cool spot. I mean, you've seen restaurants go in there and out. It's time to try something new. So be sure to connect with them on social media. And if you are a police officer who would like to get more information on the Adopt a Cop program that Tommy was talking about right here at the end of the show, go ahead and give them a ring and he'll explain it to you. I think it's a really neat opportunity for sure. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Glad to be back. And I'll see you next week.